Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for the workshop. It was really amazing. Couple questions for you. So, this probably you've heard this a lot. If you had to choose between focusing on trading psychology or focusing on having a concrete edge on the market, which one do you think has more impact on short term and long term on the results of a trader?
That's a good question. So, say that you have a really powerful edge. I know that you use something called footprint amongst others.
Yes, I do.
I use more price action based. But let's say that we have a really good edge. What happens if you don't believe in the edge? Because every strategy, no matter how good it is, will have periods where it will go through a drawdown, where it's not working. But if you don't have the mental resolve to see you through those bad trades, well, then it doesn't really matter how good the edge is, because at the first sign of a flaw or first sign of failure, you're going to bail out. So I would rather have a really strong mindset and then subsequently have to learn a good setup. But I think the prerequisite for being a good trader is to have a strong mind. But not all of us are born with strong minds. We're not. Sometimes our parents would be the first to say, oh, don't do that. Don't be so silly. You can't do that. And so oftentimes when we grow up later in life and we become adults, you less or me, I'm in my 50s, you in your 20s, sometimes we have to unlearn some of the things that our parents and our brothers and sisters have told us. And we kind of have to almost invent a new identity. I'll tell you something that what not many people know about me is that I left Denmark so that I could actually reinvent myself into who I really am as a human being. Because in Denmark, I was being held back by what my family saw in me, what they thought I should do. And sometimes you just got to sing from the heart and trust that what you know in here is right. And then say, I'm off. Hasta la vista. I will see you later. I need to be true to me. There's someone once said, you must follow your bliss, and the bliss is what's inside. I know this has got nothing to do with trading, but I also don't think that if we don't love trading, if we don't act from a place of love, I love the process, I love footprints, I love price action,
of course,
what Fibonacci or Bollinger Bands or whatever we do, well, you won't last. You gotta have a love for what we do.
Definitely.
So that's my answer. Mindset first, technique second. Amazing. But can I just add something?
Of course.
Most people get it the wrong way around. Most people will say, oh no, it's all about technique. Oh, you gotta have a strong technique. But that's why I think most people lose.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also true. Because I see nowadays a lot of traders may be focusing too much on psychology instead and not having an edge in the first place. So that's why I'm asking. Sometimes there can be the opposite problem.
I haven't encountered that, but I think sometimes the pendulum of knowledge will always swing.
Definitely.
Okay, there was a time when you look at diets, then it was like no fat diets. So we didn't eat any fat, but we didn't think about sugar. Then it was like no sugar diets, but now we're eating a lot of fat and meat because that's the ketogenic. Right? And sometimes the knowledge of mankind, the pendulum sort of swings and eventually we will settle on the right path.
Definitely. So, next up, you talk often about situational analysis rather than technical analysis, and I love that. So you analyze session by session market behavior at the beginning of the session. I wonder, do you use in your process volume macros, or you're just purely price action based?
I can answer this very quickly. So, for example, if I could give your fans an idea of situational analysis. And I just want to make sure, because it gets a little technical, but you have something called the regular trading session, which for you in Italy would be 3:30 in the afternoon, for the US until 10 o'clock at night. Correct. And so if I observe that the Friday regular trading session, if the high during the Friday is not as high as the high on Thursday, the day before, then the odds are overwhelmingly high that whatever low you made on Friday will be visited on Monday during the regular trading session. That's an example of situational analysis.
Yes.
Another situational analysis that I have published is that if Wednesday's high is lower than Monday's high, then you will see the lows of Wednesday being visited on Thursday. I think when I did it, I had 24 out of 25. It was really quite a mind-boggling statistic. But it's just, that's a situational analysis. And for me, it's just fun to uncover these, shall we say, idiosyncrasies in the market. It also, because a trader, I'm not just a trader, I'm also a curious individual. And for me, the research is every bit as lovable as the actual act of trading as well. Especially if you got something you think that's going to happen today, and you got this game, and you're kind of excited about, I'm waiting for this to happen, and then it happens, and it plays it out, and you walk away a big winner. That's a lovely feeling.
Amazing. So, being a high stakes trader, you often talk about how you scale up in a position. Do you have also strategies to scale out of a position as well? And if yes, how?
No, I think it's one of my flaws as a trader is that I tend to, I'm a high stake trader because my stake size alone is high, but I add to my winning trades, and not many traders do that. They add to losing trades. Please don't do that.
Don't do that.
No, please don't do that. Uncle Tom has spoken. But you can also imagine that if you had bought, say, the DAX or the S&P at 50, and then you add more at 55, and maybe you add again at 60. If the S&P then goes back to 55, you are break even on the second, you're losing on the third, and you're winning on the first, and basically you're break even now, even though technically you should have 10 points. And February was a big losing month for me, and I have to rethink my strategy about adding to my winning trades, because it was the winning trades in February that blew up in my face.
Yeah, of course.
Well, it had worked in January and December, but I guess at times you will just encounter.
Does it matter on market condition? Do you blame it on market condition as well?
I never blame market conditions,
of course.
Because we take, as traders and as human beings, we take ultimate responsibility for everything in our lives. We don't blame our wives or our children or our friends. We blame ourselves, and we find a way out from that.
Definitely, sure. Still, there's, black swans can happen.
Of course. But then we have a stop loss, don't we?
Definitely.
My problem is more of I'm trying to push the boat too hard, and it has spectacularly backfired on me. And I, as a responsible trader, I have to go back and review that.
Of course.
And say, have I done something?
100%.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay. Yes. So now into really quick questions.
Sure.
Do you think that banks and institutions hunt for retail CFDs traders' stop losses?
No, please don't.
Nice.
Now, here's the thing. What I want to say to you is this.
Also, you worked on a CFD broker, so...
Yeah, but bollocks to that. No, sorry. Don't swear, Uncle Tom. Look, I did some intense work on the whole conspiracy theory of institutions chasing.
Yes.
And one of the things that I use as a resource for my argument against it is the BIS report.
Yes.
BIS is the Bank of International Settlement. And in the Bank of International Settlement, they estimate that retail traders, which basically is still you and I, we make up 5% of the daily volume. We are not even small fish. We are so insignificant. No, the real problem is that people like you and I and everybody else, we always place our stop loss above the old highs or below the old lows, because that's what we do. And we don't have big budgets either. So therefore, we are easy target.
Of course.
Do you know what my best friend and mentor David Paul once said? And maybe you should pass that on to your students. He said, I always like to place my orders where the crowd place their stop loss.
Definitely.
Isn't that amazing?
I've heard that quote from him, definitely.
Anyway,
yes. So contrarian kind of mindset is always, I think, good, but getting that into the conspiracy and blaming the algorithm to, I think
the algorithm.
That was supposed to be the next question. Is there one algorithm controlling the market?
What, like a big, mighty...
Yes.
Well, if there is,
Yes.
I have found no evidence whatsoever.
Amazing.
Because sometimes it's turned on and sometimes it's turned off.
Yeah.
And like I have friends that I really like as human beings.
Yes.
But I don't like their views on conspiracy theory. If I lose, I don't blame the market. I don't blame some algorithm. I blame me.
Definitely.
All right,
100% agree. The last two, really quick like this. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is subjectivity for a discretional trader?
Would you mind defining subjectivity in your...
Discretion, like knowing which...
A bias?
Yes, let's say a bias.
All right. I wish I could send you a chart. I actually, since I'm sending you my entire presentation anyway.
Yes. I might show it.
Yes.
That slide maybe.
So there's a slide in there that has the data of 30,000, 30 years of Dow Jones history.
Uh-huh.
But it's in a bell curve.
Yeah.
And if it's below, it's because the Dow has lost for the day compared to the previous day's close.
Okay.
And if it's above, it's because it's gained for the day compared to previous day's close. That allocation of winning days and losing days over 30 years, 7,500 trading days, the distribution of winning days and losing days for the Dow Jones Index is 49.6 to 50.4. Okay?
Basically 50-50.
Yeah, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
And so having a bias might serve you to calm your own mind, but I never trade with a bias. I never go in and say, I'm really bearish or I'm really bullish. I'm going, hey, let's see what the market will give me. And that's why I think mechanical strategies has an edge for me, because it doesn't really factor in whether the market is very bullish or very bearish.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe though it's hard to quantify some things that you are implicitly learning through experience, right?
I agree with you. And also, I was very careful how I answered. I said it's not useful for me.
Yes.
And I have substantiated why that is. But I will bow to the person like you and your performance. And if you use discretion, well, clearly then there's more to the story than just a one-dimensional perspective from me.
Definitely. I don't use a lot of discretion or instinct, if you want. I'm very pragmatical and mechanical. But I think even if you wanted to use your instinct, you should track your instinct and see how it performs.
Great comment.
Definitely. So what do you think, last question, what do you think about the current retail trading educational battleground, and what would you change, or what are you doing in your community to bring a better impact on the community?
Well, look, first of all, have you ever heard the expression that everybody wants to be shepherds, but no one wants to be up in the mountains?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's a saying that I kind of invented, that there's a lot of people who would like to get paid to tutor other people. And there's safe money in teaching other people. And it could be a good business. I'm not so interested in teaching people for money. Not because I would be ashamed of it, but because I don't think that I have the necessary qualities to be a good teacher on a really granular level. I'm better at maybe addressing like 70 people here in Prague and then give them the notes so that they can work through it themselves. I'm not the one who's perhaps hand-holding them like a personal coach, because personal coaching, well, I make more money from trading than I would from unless you can afford to pay me £5,000 a day, which very few people can do anyway. But I also I'm distressed as a more mature person. I'm distressed by the volume of deceit that I see by educators, because it feels to me as the qualifying factor for these educators is to show the world that they have a penthouse or a Ferrari or a Bugatti. But to me, that isn't the deciding factor. The deciding factor of whether you really become a successful trader, to me, is how do you handle losing? Because everybody can have good periods, but it's usually the losing periods that will kill you. And that, I think, isn't being expressed at all, because most educators will focus just on the winning, not realizing that showing vulnerability is actually a strength. That you can own up to, I should have gotten out sooner, I didn't. And it won't happen the next time.
Nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.